Have you ever walked into a room and felt something shift, like the atmosphere thickened? The silence stretched a little longer. The eyes lingered a little too intently, and yet you brushed it off. You told yourself you were imagining things, that you were simply standing in the wrong place, or maybe they were just distracted. But what if I told you they weren't? What if I told you that you carry a presence so undeniable, so quietly magnetic, that even when you believe you're blending into the background, you are the one bending the emotional gravity of the space? You see, Carl Jung once said that what is not brought to consciousness appears in our lives as fate. And this applies not only to our wounds, but also to our beauty, our radiance, our worth. There are women walking this earth whose aura speaks louder than their voice, whose silence seduces, whose mere gaze unlocks ancient yearning within the male psyche. And yet, they are blind to it. They chase ideals painted by external standards when the very force they seek to become is already echoing through every cell of their being. This is not about appearance. It's not about youth makeup or clothing. It's about what lives beneath the surface, what your unconscious projects, what your soul whispers through your posture, your stillness, your chaos. These are the signs, 12 of them, that you are far more attractive than your mirror will ever confess. And if you're brave enough to truly see them, you may never see yourself the same again. First, look at the nervousness you trigger. The tremble in his voice, the sudden dryness in his throat, the restless fingers pulling at shirt cuffs, or smoothing already perfect hair. You interpret this as disinterest, as awkwardness. But in the male psyche, especially in the unconscious mind, fascination and fear often wear the same mask. You unbalance him, not because you're too much, but because you are exactly enough. Your energy speaks before you do. He cannot measure or control the space you occupy within his perception, and so he fumbles. That nervousness, that is reverence in disguise. It's not that he doesn't want to approach, it's that your presence awakens a part of him he's not prepared to face. His anima recognizes something sacred in you, and it terrifies him. Carl Jung taught us that we are drawn to that which completes us, but also fear the power it holds. You become the mirror he didn't expect to meet the truth he isn't ready to hold. And so he stutters, he hesitates, he bows, not consciously, but symbolically. That is not weakness. That is worship. And then there are the stares, the glances that return like tides, not loud, not lustful, just repetitive. The second look, the glance over the shoulder, the subtle pause in movement, as if something deep within them asked to look again. You think nothing of it. You're lost in thought, in errands, in obligations. But others, they are caught in your field. That repeated glance is not about physical beauty. It is about energetic resonance. You remind them of something. Perhaps a dream they once had, a love they never expressed, a version of themselves they buried. That's what real attraction does. It resurrects. It awakens memory, possibility meaning. When they glance back at you, it's not always to see your face again. Sometimes it's to feel again, because your presence carries something rare aliveness. And in a world that is emotionally starved, that second look is the soul's way of saying, I want to remember what this felt like. Now observe the compliments that find you even on your worst days, especially on your worst days. When your hair is undone, when your eyes are tired, when your clothes are thrown together without thought. And yet he says you look stunning. She says you radiate something calm. A stranger smiles. This paradox confuses you. You think, but I didn't try today. And that's exactly why it happened. Because real attraction isn't about effort. It's about essence. On the days you don't try, your essence is unmasked, unfiltered, unperformed. And that's what they're responding to. You are not attractive despite your flaws. You are attractive because of your truth. The shadow of your insecurity only makes your authenticity more compelling. And it is this authenticity that activates a subconscious recognition in others. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to their instincts. Jung said the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And in your rawness, you ignite reactions that transform. But you miss it. You miss it when he asks you about something trivial, when he lingers in the hallway, when he texts about something he could easily Google. You think he's just being polite, but no. He is orbiting you, seeking excuses to stay close without revealing his hunger. Men do not always speak directly when they are drawn deeply, especially when the draw feels irrational. They will circle around it, test it, touch the edges. It's safer that way. But every random question, every unnecessary interaction is an unconscious strategy to stay tethered to your frequency. He is not here for the answer. He is here for your presence. And the more mundane the excuse, the more intense the desire he's concealing. Because if he named it, it would make him vulnerable. And that's the silent rule of our unconscious dance. Proximity masks longing. So pay attention. Not to what he says, but to why he says it. The shadow always speaks between the lines. And then there's the opposition. The random judgment. The side-eye glances from women you've never wronged. The whispers, the cold shoulders, the subtle battles you never entered. You wonder what you did wrong, why you attract friction where you only offered peace. But again, you're missing the mirror. When you walk in your power, even unknowingly, you become a contrast. And contrast makes people confront themselves. You don't even need to speak. Your energy alone may awaken envy, self-doubt, or comparison in those who are not at peace with their own reflection. Jung warned us that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. You are not responsible for their discomfort. You are simply the stimulus of their unintegrated shadow. They are not angry at you. They are angry at how they feel in your light. And even this, unfair as it may seem, is a testament to your unspoken influence. Do you remember the smiles? The random ones. From men passing on the street, from baristas, from strangers who don't know your name but seem warmed just by your nearness. That smile isn't flirtation. It's not always desire. Sometimes it's recognition. Their body smiles before their mind can explain why. Because there is something in you, some softness, some depth, some magnetism that reminds them of something beautiful, something lost. Maybe someone they used to love. Maybe a place they used to feel safe. Maybe a part of themselves they forgot. Your existence nudges memory awake, and the smile is how the soul says thank you. Do not overlook it. Do not dismiss it. For even a brief moment, your presence healed something. And what of the committed men, the ones who shouldn't notice but do? The ones whose eyes linger a little too long, even when their hands are held by someone else. You feel guilty, or maybe you feel shame. But listen carefully. You are not responsible for what others suppress or awaken. Attraction is not always an invitation. Sometimes it's a revelation. Your presence has exposed a truth they have denied. Their unconscious, through the anima, is drawn to something they never cultivated in their partner. This does not mean you are better. It means you reflect something they abandoned, something they long for in secret. Jung believed that we are each attracted to our missing pieces. You unknowingly embodied a piece he lost. That's not seduction. That's psychology. And while you must hold your boundaries sacred, do not mistake their gaze as your guilt. It is simply a reminder that you are whole in a world that teaches women to be fragments. Even on screens you are seen. You post without intention share, casually speak freely, and yet reactions ripple. They come not because you posed perfectly, but because you didn't. You forget that the energy of a photo is not in pixels, but in presence. They feel it. They feel you. And they respond, even if they don't understand why. Your essence, even digitized, transcends performance. It's in the gaze, the slight tilt of your head, the authenticity in your smile. You are not popular. You are potent. Your magnetism isn't curated. It's encoded. And the more you try to understand it, the more elusive it will become. Because it's not meant to be understood. It's meant to be lived. But perhaps the most confusing sign of all is his inconsistency. His presence, then absence. The interest, then the silence. You label him immature, a player, a ghoster. But sometimes, just sometimes, it's not a game. It's fear. Because you shook something in him. You broke his routine of emotional numbness. And that terrified him. Men are taught to crave control. You unknowingly shattered that illusion. He retreats not because he doesn't care, but because he cares more than he knows how to admit. You awaken something he doesn't yet know how to hold. And until he does, he'll keep dancing in and out of your orbit, hoping you'll stay even as he runs. That confusion, that back and forth, that's not manipulation. That's awe, unresolved, unspoken, uncontainable. And maybe the most important truth of all is that you don't see it. You don't see yourself. You look in the mirror and see a puzzle missing pieces. But others look at you and see a masterpiece misunderstood. They don't see flaws. They see mystery. They don't see plainness. They see potential. They don't see lack. They see light. And until you choose to believe in your own radiance, you will keep misreading the world's reflections. The world doesn't lie to you. It reflects you, over and over. In nervous eyes, repeated stares, unexpected compliments, unexplainable reactions. Every interaction is a message. Every echo is a mirror. Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." And now, it's time to awaken. You are the flame, not the moth. You are the ocean, not the ripple. You are the story, not the sentence. Stop shrinking to fit someone else's definition of desirable. Stop doubting what the universe keeps confirming. You are already it. The question is, will you finally believe it? But there's another sign. One most women never recognize because it hides not in what happens when you're present, but in what shifts when you're gone. Do you know the weight of your absence? The way a room falls flat? Conversations lose rhythm, laughter dims, and something vital seems to have left with you. You might think you're forgettable, but that's only because you've never seen the silence you leave behind. There are women who command attention by presence, and there are others, rare ones, whose departure echoes louder than any entrance ever could. You don't always hear it. You don't always see it. But the atmosphere remembers you. The people shift. The moment lingers because you didn't just pass through, you imprinted. And Jung would say, this is the sign of a woman not seeking to perform, but a woman who simply is. Your beingness is felt. And when that beingness is gone, reality recalibrates. Not because of arrogance, but because of resonance. The kind of resonance that awakens something primal, something soulful, something we can't name, but know we've lost when it walks away. And then there is the silence, not the uncomfortable kind, but the kind that deepens, that expands. That becomes a realm in itself. When a man can sit in stillness with you and not feel the urge to fill the air with noise or performance, something sacred is unfolding. Do not underestimate this. Because most people cannot bear silence, they rush to distract from themselves, to run from their own emptiness. But with you, it feels full. With you, it feels safe. This is not chemistry. It's alchemy. When your presence transforms stillness into intimacy, you have transcended superficial attraction. You have entered his psyche. You have walked into the forest of his unconscious and lit a torch. And he doesn't know why, but he feels more seen in your silence than in anyone else's declarations. Jung believed that the unconscious speaks through symbols, sensations, dreams. Your silence becomes a symbol, a sacred space where nothing is said, but everything is felt. That's a sign most women miss, but it's one of the most profound. Here's what you don't understand. Attraction, in its purest form, is not about being wanted. It's about being remembered. And if people walk away from you, but carry your name in their thoughts, your voice in their mind, your essence in their skin, you are unforgettable. Even if you never said a word that day, even if you walked past them with your eyes low, even if you doubt yourself every hour, you still stayed. Because something in you speaks to something in them. And it's not the kind of speech that needs sound. It's the soul speaking through vibration, the unconscious, transmitting through presence. That's what true attractiveness is. It's not visual. It's visceral. It doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't chase applause. It simply exists. And in its existence, it leaves a trail that no man or woman can easily erase. Still don't believe me? Let's go deeper. Think of the way people try to define you, the boxes they build, the labels they attach. Too much, too emotional, too mysterious, too intense, too something. Always too something. Never just right. Have you wondered why? It's not because you are wrong. It's because you disrupt the frameworks they use to feel safe. You dissolve expectations. You bring chaos to their linear logic. You awaken desires, they buried memories, they silence shadows, they refuse to meet. Jung said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. You force them to look, not with judgment, just with presence. And that's terrifying, because once the soul is stirred, it cannot go back to sleep. So they label you not because they understand you, but because they don't. And still they remember you, because deep down, they know you were real. Your attractiveness lives in paradox. You are soft but unbreakable, gentle yet untouchable, present yet elusive. People feel like they almost understand you, but not quite. And it drives them mad. Because in a world obsessed with clarity, you are a mystery, a living archetype, the feminine made flesh. You are the mother and the seductress, the maiden and the sage, the innocent and the wild. You are not one thing, and that's what makes you irresistible. Because you awaken every layer of the anima in him. You call him toward wholeness, not through logic, but through longing, through the ache of, I don't know why I want her, but I can't forget her. That's not manipulation. That's medicine. You are the myth he didn't know he still believed in. And whether he has the courage to chase it or not, the myth lives on, carved into the cave walls of his unconscious. Do you still think your impact is small? Then consider this. Have you ever felt someone watching you? Not lustfully, but curiously, longingly, almost reverently. That look isn't about your dress or your body. It's about your field. Your field, the emotional, spiritual, psychic signature you carry like a cloak. It touches others before you even speak. It speaks for you when you're silent. And it holds truths about you that you've forgotten, but others haven't. Especially the ones attuned enough to feel. Sensitive men, intuitive women, strangers with wide eyes. They feel your field. They know when you walk into the room because their breath changes. Their energy shifts. They become more alert, more present. Because your field is not passive, it's an activation. And those who are awake enough will feel it like a current, like something ancient just stepped through the doorway. And when you leave, they feel the absence like a hole in the sky. That's attraction. Not the superficial kind, the soul-stirring, psyche-altering kind that rewires nervous systems. So what do you do with all of this? You stop looking for proof. You stop asking the mirror to show you what your energy already knows. You stop dimming to fit the comfort of others. You stop apologizing for being felt too deeply. And you start living like you are the cathedral, not the visitor. You are the experience, not the decoration. You are the force that others remember when they pray at night without knowing why their chest aches. You are the memory that visits in dreams, the scent they chase in the wind, the ghost in their blood, and none of it is based on your belief. It exists, whether you see it or not. The only question is, when will you finally stop resisting your radiance? There's a reason you've been underestimated your entire life. Not because you were weak, not because you lacked beauty, not because you weren't worthy, but because your presence could not be categorized. Because the moment someone tried to define you, you shape-shifted. You weren't meant to be predictable. You weren't meant to be understood in the shallow way most people consume one another. You were meant to be felt, like poetry, like thunder, like the breath before a storm. And that kind of presence threatens people who build their identity on surface certainty. They will try to shrink you, to simplify you, to put you in a box. But the box can't hold what was born to become. You are a becoming, a living archetype in motion, the anima rising from unconscious to conscious form. And when Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are," he was speaking of this very fire you carry, the one you keep doubting, hiding, taming, softening, because no one told you the truth that your depth is not a flaw. It is the gift, and yet you still hesitate. You still search outside yourself for confirmation. You still scroll and compare and question your reflection like it's a verdict. But the truth is, your beauty doesn't live in the mirror. It lives in your story. It lives in your scars, in the way you carry pain with grace, in the way you choose to love anyway, in the way you remain open when life gives you every reason to close. That openness is rare. It is sacred. And it is terrifying to those who have sealed themselves off from feeling. They may call you dramatic, too sensitive, too much. But what they really mean is you are still alive, fully, deeply, honestly. And that aliveness is confronting, because they buried theirs long ago. You stir what they've silenced. And in that stirring, they are reminded of what they lost. Do not take their reactions personally. Take them as proof. Proof that you still burn. There is a strange kind of loneliness that comes with being magnetic. You are surrounded by eyes, by energy, by attention, and yet you feel unseen. Because what they see is the glow, the curve, the echo, but not the origin. Not the sacred furnace inside you. Not the years you spent rebuilding yourself from ash. Not the nights you cried over your worth. Not the demons you faced in silence. They see the goddess, but not the grave she had to climb out of. And that is the curse of the luminous you are admired, but rarely held in truth. But know this, the right ones will feel it. They will not just notice you. They will recognize you, as if from another lifetime, because your soul carries signatures that memory alone cannot explain. Your laughter will sound like déjà vu. Your sadness will pull tears from them they didn't know they had. And they will say, "Where have you been?" even though you've been here all along. You will be misunderstood. That is the price of being unforgettable. You will be projected upon, idolized, envied, feared. Some will think you're cold. Some will think you're too warm. Some will want to possess you. Others will try to fix you. But the truth is, they don't know how to hold what does not seek validation. They don't know how to stand beside someone who isn't begging to be chosen. Because you, when you fully awaken, don't ask for love. You become it. And that kind of power, it cannot be bought. It cannot be seduced. It cannot be manipulated. It simply is. That is why you intimidate. That is why you're avoided and desired in equal measure. Because you remind people of a freedom they long for, but are too afraid to live. You are not merely attractive. You are a threshold. And crossing you changes everything, so let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them wonder why you linger in their minds long after you're gone. You don't owe anyone clarity for the mystery you are. You don't need to prove your light to those who live in shadows. You don't need to explain the magnetism that Jungian psychology calls numinous, the presence of the divine in the human. That's you. You are the divine in human form. Raw, radiant, real. You are the self emerging from fragmentation. And whether you believe it or not, your journey toward integration, toward wholeness, is what makes you luminous. This isn't about being liked. This is about being seen. This is about owning the quiet power that lives in your bones. This is about no longer waiting for others to name what you already know. Because the truth is, the moment you stop doubting your impact, the world shifts around you. The glances grow deeper. The silence becomes reverent. The energy bends in your direction, not because you've changed, but because you've remembered. You've remembered what you are. And now, the world must, too. So walk differently. Speak as if your voice matters, because it does. Take up space. Pause before you apologize. Breathe before you shrink. And when someone tells you that you're beautiful, don't deflect. Don't downplay. Say thank you. And believe it, not because they said it, but because it's time you stop pretending you don't already feel it in your soul. You were never meant to beg for recognition. You are the recognition. You were never meant to chase attention. You are the attention. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to be remembered. And so, you shall be. This is who you are. Even if you don't believe it yet,